They look like psychos. Is that what they look like? They were vampires.
Hey, welcome to Anybody Thing. I'm Braden Croft.
I'm Travis Shuchuk.
Today we're going to be talking about The Hunt being canceled by Universal Studios.
And we're going to touch upon The Boys from Amazon and, well, The Terror from AMC.
Both great shows.
I did it!
Stay together, bro.
Did not break today.
Let's jump into the topic that we're both equally upset about. The Hunt being canceled. Sorry, for the audience that doesn't know, The Hunt was a a movie coming out. Blumhouse, was it?
Yeah, and Universal.
By Universal Studios. They canceled it. 100% due because, what do you want to call it, epidemic of mass shootings in America.
Mass shooting tragedies happening right now. It's terrible, 100%, but it has nothing to do with art. It has nothing to do with video games. It has nothing to do with movies. It has nothing to... It's mental health issues, 100%. It's terrible stuff, but don't do this to film. It's just, why?
Can you imagine? Okay, let's rewind when there was no such thing as film.
Yeah.
Everyone knows there was no such thing as violence before movies came.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
You know, 1900s.
Yeah.
Previously, it was peaceful. It was a utopia.
Yeah.
No Middle Ages.
Yeah. No, there was no terrible Vikings raping and pillaging and all that sort of bad business.
No.
Yeah, it's just come on, guys. We're past that. It's not the 80s. It's not just the let's blame Satanists, let's blame drugs, let's blame, Columbine, let's blame Marilyn Manson. It's just like
no one buys this shit anymore.
No.
Like, seriously, I think everyone that we see on...
I've been seeing it so much on these on different social media feeds and stuff where people, the actual honest crowd of just human beings out there living it in America and otherwise are just they're not buying it. It's terrible stuff, but it's not, you can't point a finger at something as generic as a Call of Duty cover or a film such as The Hunt, because films like this have been I know I've seen people making parallels, which I instantly thought the same thing was like The Purge, and just turmoil and this and that and going to violence. And
there's a group of people, not only in America, but around the world, that they don't want to deal with the issue at hand, which is really more, without getting too political, it's gun access, really.
And mental illness. Not being taken serious enough and not given enough resources to truly help the people that need it. You put the two together and it's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, and it's a big issue, and I think that's why people don't want to dive in and be like, okay, let's re-examine our gun culture, our mental health, how our society views violence and war and whatnot. They'd rather just go, movies, it's Hollywood's fault. It's video games, man.
Yeah.
Did you know if we didn't have video games or movies or bad books or scary music, there would be no violence?
It would be a utopia,
Like, what did Hitler listen to?
Yeah.
Bach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, classical music. So yeah, terrible people, terrible incidents. It's bad. But to point a finger at art is just weak, and it's weak that I really feel bad that Universal did this. It doesn't set a good precedence for other films and media and art in general, because the more that happens, the more it becomes easy to censor and point at it and blame it and treat it like a dirty little secret that this thing that's causing the social downfall, and it's bad. And the more you let it happen, it'll be a slippery slope downhill. And
it's an easy scapegoat. I'm shocked people anywhere would accept that. Like, it's one thing to blame it. Oh, rock and roll is the devil's music. And in the 50s. I feel even the 50s people were smart enough to be like, oh man, they think rock and roll is evil and it's going to kill the world. But they found it annoying and it had to go away, so that's their excuse.
I agree. And I also feel that media was more blindly believed back then.
Right.
When you only had a couple of radio stations, a couple of TV channels, people also they just kind of bought it. They were being told something and that's just fact, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that nowadays there's so much blurring of that, and there's so, and people are just getting smarter.
Yeah.
It's just you can't just use that as a cure-all thing.
And it's right now I'm stewing inside because as an artist, I don't want to have conditions placed on my work. I want to be able to tell whatever story I want.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have it judged on its merit alone and not its socio-political
100%.
climate. But I mean, nothing is in a vacuum.
No.
The irony, though, is if you're going to be partisan politics on this, there's the Republicans and the Democrats, and the extremes on both sides have their opinions.
Yeah.
One, I could only understand that Republicans would blame Hollywood because, hey, like, we don't want to have our guns taken away. So let's throw it on them.
Sure.
Whereas I can only imagine the extreme left is saying something, because there are people on the extreme left.
Oh, of course. There's
it should
of
be
everything.
taken away.
Yeah.
And I think their excuse is this either is supporting or glamorizing violence, which is a thing, and I think that's wrong. You shouldn't be glamorizing violence, but you also shouldn't be stifling free speech.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, too, some people, I've read on comments saying, finally, a studio did the moral thing and removed a violent picture.
Yeah.
It's like, you're missing the point completely.
The 100%. Yeah, it's I don't know, and I feel bad for the filmmakers because, you know, if this movie was released a couple months prior or whatever, it wouldn't be the same story. The movie would be taken at face value, you know, and you don't even want to like have something like this happen and it becomes you get extra hype and you get whatever due to that, because like, will this stay canned forever? Will this disappear? Will this be released on a streaming service? Will this be a straight to video thing? Will this come to theaters maybe in a year or something and the studio sits on it? And
I think the people at Universal, the actual news article didn't state this is canceled, bar none. It was this is not the right time to release it, which giving due credit, that to me reads as out of respect for all these slangs, we're not gonna taint this movie by releasing it then, and that's good.
That I get. I just hope it doesn't go away,
right?
Because that is dangerous as an artist and
as a society.
And as a society, it's just it's bad. So yeah, I hope that Universal just shelves it for a bit and then brings it out at a better time. And you know, being sensitive is one thing that I'm cool with, but censoring and just doing away with things like that, and also having really big fingers pointing at Universal at this point.
It's a lazy answer to a very complex question, and it does not solve anything. It just mutes the problem until
instead of opening dialogue about it and thinking of real 100%. Ways to fix things. So moving on. Yes.
You were telling me about a show on Amazon.
The Boys. What was that? Okay. That show, man, super cool. I don't know how much you know about it.
I know like next to nothing. I know there's superheroes in it.
Okay, so there was a comic on this. Basically, it's taking a dark, realistic look at if superheroes were real.
So like a Watchmen sort of thing?
Sort of, yeah. It's in that vein. They're run by a corporation, a big, the Vought. It's just this big, like they're owned and they're run. There's PR. They're held to strict, like everything has to go through them. And it's really cool. It gets gritty. These characters that have immense amount of power, godlike abilities, how they react in a society where, they can kind of get away with whatever they want. And they've got this big entity that covers up things for them and this and that. And
so when you say covers up things, do you mean
deaths, killings, slayings, accidental? Yeah, like and I know like Batman versus Superman kind of touched upon some of this stuff too. Like, dude flies through a building or cause an explosion while fighting an arch nemesis or whatever. These super villains, but a lot of times the good guy's doing a lot of collateral damage, right? And realistically, like a lot of films don't touch upon that, but I love the fact that this delves into that because it's showing like accidentally people dying, accidentally massive, problems coming up due to these abilities and due to what they have to do. So it gets into that.
It brings it into a more like realistic lens of like what would the ramifications of an actual superhero in our day cause?
Yeah.
So is that would you say that's the backbone? Is that the A story of the series?
I 100% would say so.
That's cool.
And it's cool that it also shows like how deprived and how terrible, like these guys aren't all great. These are superheroes and they're just as bad as everybody else or worse because they get drunk with power and they can get away with everything. And then there's these guys that are wanting to keep them in check. Some of them have been wronged by the superheroes. They call them the soups. And some of them have been wrong. Some of them have had accidental deaths, this and that.
Yep.
I won't go into it too deep because it's still pretty fresh. But these guys are wanting to keep them in check and fight back and potentially kill some of them. So it becomes really cool to see just how they work, and the acting is great, the writing's great, it's really witty, it's fun, it's gritty, it's gory.
So sorry, man.
Oh yeah.
To go back on it, I just want to know a little bit more about it. Like, so the boys run by a corporation. Does a corporation?
No, the boys are the other guys, I would say. Well, I mean, like, what do you call it? Like, nobody's
the other
called
guys...
the boys currently that I've seen. But yeah, there's Carl Urban. He's leading this group of kind of like, they're all criminals except one guy, and they're all trying to figure like how to best hurt this big corporation and these superheroes.
So are the superheroes the anti-heroes? Like,
yeah.
Okay, so this corporation is kind of like an evil, yet on the outside they're the good guys sort of thing?
Yes, yeah. And there's like knockoff characters of like big DC characters mostly, like Wonder Woman and Superman and Aquaman.
Is this based off of a DC? Is this a DC property?
It was a comic.
So it was a comic published.
Yes, yeah.
Own IP. This is not Amazon.
Yeah, it's its own, and then Amazon picked it up as an original series. And I don't know the comic by any means, but from what I've seen of other people that did follow it, everybody's acting like it follows it pretty decently and keeps diligent to the story and the source material. So yeah, I don't know. All I know as a viewer that knew very little walking in, I've enjoyed the hell out of it, and it's hard to put down. It's
really funny, man, because like when you're a kid and you read comics, like my time reading comics was probably from 6 years old to 14. Sure. That was like where I read the bulk of them, right? And then things mature as comics became more of an adult or young adult literature.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, I want to see big stuff. I want to see buildings explode. I want to see Doomsday fight Superman. Epic things happen. But now, as an older man, it's like I've had my fill of that.
Yeah.
So when you pitched it that this is like the ramifications in the real world,
it's a reality, yeah.
That, I mean, to a kid, that's probably like boring.
Sure, yeah.
Show me the cool shit. But to me, that's like,
oh yeah,
I want to watch that because there's things I haven't asked myself watching those, like, what would happen if
there's a lot of morality issues and questions and things that, like, it's good. Cool. It really makes you think. It gets deep, and I cannot suggest it enough. It's really, really good.
Admittingly, I did see the trailer. I think they played it in theaters here.
Okay.
Like Landmark, whatever theaters. Sitting there and watching it, I thought,
another superhero
movie.
Yeah.
Because I've had my fill, like I said. I'm pretty good for now.
It's fairly oversaturated right now. Yeah, it's safe to say.
And maybe the trailer just didn't tickle me the way it was intended to because it felt so generic and vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're telling me sounds awesome.
Least. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, knowing what you like, I think you would actually really enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone's watching in the comments, I definitely want to read that stuff. What's your take? Is this a good show? Or is this a good comic, rather? Because I guess the show
that too, yeah. Absolutely.
I heard it's really bingey right now.
Yeah.
Did they release it all in one go?
It broke some records. Yeah, it's all in one go.
Okay.
And I think it was their highest binge show currently within 2 weeks. Like, it was massive numbers.
What would be the next one? Would it be Man in the High Castle?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Man in High Castle is good. I don't know if you watched that. That's another good one.
Yeah.
And then they're doing that. That same team's doing that the Warhammer series as well.
Based on like the toys, the video games,
board games, video games, all that stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And then you were talking about The Terror. It's been something I've been meaning to watch. I know my dad was telling me it's just awesome. He kept on like giving me shit for not watching it, and I've heard lots of good things from everyone, really. So
Terror's great, man. They got a lot of actors from like the British scene. I think it's an American TV show made through AMC, who, God, they own like the Shutters and IFC channels and all that stuff. So AMC is huge.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's an American show with British actors.
And the Brits are killing it. Like, let's admit, like they're
fantastic.
Like, and who isn't British on TV? Like, it seemed like for the last while, everyone's been, everyone's from the UK and movies, TV.
Yeah.
But
so like a couple of names here that if you've watched Chernobyl, by the way, which is
another
amazing.
One of those, yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
No, and it's been one of those. I've just been kicking myself. I was busy when it came out, and everybody was talking about it. We were working on a show and really overboard, and everybody kept on giving me shit. And it's like now I'm starting to get to a point where I can maybe have a little bit of time here or there, and I've got this like mile long list that I gotta navigate my way through. I'm sure like everybody now, there's so much good content out there.
I'll pitch you on the Chernobyl after.
Yeah.
But they have an actor, Jared Harris, who plays one of the... I don't want to spoil it too much,
okay.
but he's like a co-lead on The Terror.
Yep.
And, man, he is amazing. Chernobyl, he's the main dude. Unreal. I cannot recommend him enough. I can't believe I'm hearing him, in 2019. That dude's been around for at least 30 years in the industry. But fantastic. The Terror itself is 2 ships, one being the Terror, and if I got to pull it up here, the other being Erebus. And it is based off of the real-life travels of Captain Sir John Franklin's lost expedition in the Arctic. So it's in the mid-1800s. They're looking for a northwest passage to India. Yeah. And so they're passing actually through Nunavut. Yeah. Or Nunavut. Am I saying that?
I don't know.
Nunavut?
I'll buy either.
I feel like a dick. Because there's someone at some point will watch it from there.
I know. It's one of those things that I'm like, pronunciation,
Yeah. So yeah, the Terror is one of the 2 boats.
Yeah.
And they basically get stranded on the Arctic.
Yeah.
And it's got the same vibe of an H.P. Lovecraft, like you're in a slightly, well, he goes full surreal, but this is a slightly surreal environment where things are not behaving as they should. The frost won't let up.
Okay.
They're stranded. Their ice-breaking ships get raised onto the ice, and they basically have to wait out winter.
Yeah.
The one thing that on top of that makes it really funky is they have like a creature there, and I don't want to go too far to explain it because half the fun is seeing it bit by bit.
Absolutely.
But the crew, there's the mutiny angles, there's discord between captains, motivations of why they're there. So they basically take a real life situation of them traveling through the Arctic and adding this a little bit of supernatural, a little bit of monster movie, and giving a reason. I don't want to ruin it because I've read kind of the wiki page of it. And that's half the fun of finding out what happened to these guys. But taking that real life situation and throwing the fictional spin on it. Yeah. The what if.
I love that. I love taking, it's like Predator, let's say. We always give that love. But could have just been a straight up, extraction, like military operation, some special ops guys going to the jungle. But then they run into this crazy ass creature in there, and now the whole thing turns on its side. Yeah. I love those scenarios. I love a movie where it's taking you one way, and then all of a sudden these guys get thrown in this crazy circumstance.
Oh, for sure.
And it's kind of neat that they're playing on an actual, real historic event too, which is.
And what's cool about the historic event is that the writer of this, let me pull him up here, Dan Simmons. It was a novel beforehand, so real life nonfiction influencing fiction. Yeah. He is so detailed. At least if I am assuming they're pulling a lot of his words from the book onto the page. And it's just so detailed. Everything is so era specific, as it should be, but it's elevated. Yeah. I find some shows get away with being fast and loose with time periods. Yeah. From dialogue to plot points and era specific items. Like that guy shouldn't be wearing this in that era. These guys nail it.
That's really cool.
And when you get that right, I feel it just elevates the whole picture because now you're sold on, I'm watching reality. This is how it was.
Yeah, rooting it in that reality, but then bringing all that paranormal element to it, completely. It helps sell it. I know a show that I really got into, not meaning to go off too much, but was Salem. And it was from WGN, amazing series, super underrated. And that one was the same thing. It was in the Salem witch trials, which, terrible stuff was going on in that town with all these accusations of people becoming, witches and the devil influence and all that. Right. But they totally go with it. So that stuff is all happening, and they're trying to cover it up, and they're trying to use this pandemonium and freaking people out, and that they've got an overall story arc of what they need to happen, and but they also want to make it look like other people are possibly witches that aren't.
And they do it to the level that the detail is so spot on.
Super good, yeah. Like the when you see the sets are like, it looks like they're actually there. And I know they shot kind of some on location stuff, but it's beautiful. It's like it's super
That's
cool.
Awesome.
And then they just splash in some of that paranormally. Kind of fantasy stuff with some of the clothing and with the witches and some of the props and some of the actual the visuals of these demonics. It's good. It's well worth the watch if you dig that type of thing. Yeah, 100%.
It's funny as like a writer, as a filmmaker, when you watch these things and you approach it, your mind automatically goes let's construct a plot, let's think of awesome scenes, it's going to be big, but you rarely think, let's dive into even some of the mundane tasks day to day that these people go through that will bring it to that level of realism.
Yeah.
Because if you do the plot idea and you try to think of these bombastic ideas that are just so inherently entertaining, you get too much of that, and it Michael Bay's you.
It's true. It
doesn't
kind of taints it. It's just like, it's so crazy and out there that now you know, it's pure fiction. There's no,
exactly.
You don't have anything rooting you into reality still.
Whereas the terror, if it grounds you in that realism, the smallest of, let's call it, bombastic things, when that happens, it's so amplified that something you would normally see on your pulpy network and, you know, run-of-the-mill horror movie, you wouldn't bat an eye at, but you see it on this, in that setting,
it
with
kind of
that
steps
context,
you back a lot more because
it blows you away.
Yeah, because it
really
does
cool.
feel so real, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, like, what's going on here?
It was like the movie The Witch, right? Like, how many witch films have we seen?
No.
Where the wild shit goes on, and you kind of get used to it, but in that, barely any witchy shit happens.
It took really near to the end for anything massive to happen, and prior to that, it was almost up to speculation. Like, is there some weird shit going on? Right. Maybe. Like, there's enough to give you the hint of, like, there's something going on. Or is there?
And then the goat talks, and you're like, whoa! Yeah. And you think it's the most wild thing that's ever happened.
It's so weird, yeah.
But you've seen wilder in other witch films.
Yeah.
They just didn't feel as real as this.
It's true. It is true. And I have to give it to that. Some people say it's too slow of a burn that way. And at times, I am guilty of saying that when they got weird, it was so good. Like, they went, I was just like, just a little more. Just splash it with a little more. Yeah, like, there was a couple of scenes in there where I was like, holy shit. But and then my girlfriend would say the opposite. She's like, "No, it's perfect. Don't throw all that shit in there." Like,
how would you have pushed the witch? This is what you're referring to, right?
Yes,
you would have pushed it. What would you do in that case?
I just would have splashed just a slight more of the visuals with all the kind of demonic-y, kind of creepy. Like, I know there was some scene. Yeah, well, as it ramped up, I would have just splashed in a little bit more. I do think they did a great job, and I do think, you know, within reason, what I'm saying, if you went a little too far, it would ruin the vibe that they did build there. But when they did it so well that it just left me wanting more. Just a little bit more of that eye candy, because some of it was like pretty crazy and out there and disturbing. I remember, like, there's a scene with like crows or ravens and stuff too,
with
and
breasts.
Like, with the breasts. Yeah, I was like, holy shit! Like, that stepped me back. I was like, what? Like, really? And so just a little bit more of that eye candy splash in there, just because when I have to give them credit, when they did it, it did take me back enough where I was like, just, oh shit. But I'm an eye guy. Like, I really like, you know, like, coming from a visual field and doing like special effects and like prop stuff. I'm always like really checking out that kind of thing. And when they did it, I got excited.
When I watched it too, I thought the same thing. Like, as a filmmaker, you're always kind of looking at what's out there. How would you do anything different? Admittingly, on The Witch, I didn't think I would do much different because he nailed it as is.
Sure.
But to throw one thing into the, you know, the pond of ideas, when I saw the ending, which is the only thing I would possibly put my own spin on.
Okay.
Do you remember when the goat talks?
Yeah.
And then the book comes out, she signs it. In the script, she hears the goat talk, the thing comes out, she signs it, and there's hands that come behind her, like human hands.
Yeah.
So as the goat has walked around, he's turned into a human.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty cool touch. But my initial thought was, what if she went into that enclosed area with the goat? She was responding as if someone was talking, but we didn't hear it. So instead of saying, would you like to live deliciously?
Yeah.
And she responds, she would be responding to no one. We'd be like, she's lost it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't go there.
Yeah. So you don't know if it's psychological or paranormal at that rate, even more so. Yeah.
But stay with me on this.
Okay.
The goat leaves, Black Phillip, mind you, the name of the goat. Black Phillip leaves and walks into the trees. Still stick with that. And then once she gets into the clearing, we're a little bit further back. We don't get into the circle of the witches, but we hear that chanting.
Yeah.
We see the fire, and all of a sudden, we don't know what these figures are. They stand up, and they're naked women that circle the fire, as in the film.
Yeah.
She joins in, disrobes.
Yeah.
Do you show them levitating? I thought that was kind of
at that point, it was very, like, There's no coming back from that, basically.
No.
Yeah.
But then again, to your point, you kind of wanted more. So I think people that came from your angle, if you didn't hear the really cool satanic voice of the goat,
sure,
maybe you would feel a little bit robbed.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I stand on that, but
I know those are very subtle films like that, and yeah. All right, well, this is Any Bloody Thing. Hopefully you liked what we've done here, and if you have any comments on any of the stuff that we covered, do it in the comments below, and possibly share. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors.
Spread it like contagion in 28 Days Later.
Yes, through blood. Maybe not.